Hey friends, welcome to my channel. If we haven't met, my name is Shailene Louise and I do painting videos, tutorials, all kinds of fun stuff here on YouTube. So I thought it'd be kind of fun, since we're kind of at the end of the year here, to do a 2022 best of wrap-up video. So I'm going to talk you through the supplies I used this year that I loved, just the stuff I loved using the most. And so all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about drawing, rubber stamp carving, watercolor, and I also thought it'd be kind of fun to show you which of my paintings from this year were my favorite. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited. So let's jump right in. Okay, so I haven't really gone through this or anything, or even really planned it out in my mind. I thought it'd be more fun to just go for it. But I definitely just spent some time just grabbing some of the tools and supplies and stuff that I've just really had fun with this year. So I would say that like the number one thing that's kind of been a new sort of kind of fun hobby interest of mine is just pencil drawing. So literally since I was a teenager, I've just had these like pro art pencils. I think they're from like Hobby Lobby, and I genuinely got these as a teenager, and they've just been sitting. And pencils, I guess, don't expire because they all work great. But here's like some examples. This is a Cosmo sketch I did earlier this year. I also have this like Queen Anne's lace sketch that I really loved. And this one is, actually both of these are in my shop, but these were definitely some of my favorite sketches from this year. And I've like used pens, and I really love using, like, these are just fine liners. I have black and gray, and these are Winsor & Newton fine liners. Are you gonna focus? There it is. So anyways, yeah, using pen is really fun, but pencil's great because you can erase things. Actually, that's funny. My son loves to take bites out of my erasers. So that is what you're seeing right there. But I have a little baby gate up in my office, so he can't get in here, but it still happens. So something I like about having like a variety of pencils is that you get like all these different like heavinesses. So there's like some that are harder and some are softer. This one here is like just a regular charcoal pencil. I love these pencils from Blackwing. So I have the Pearl and the Natural, and they're just honestly like so beautiful. Like, look at those. They have those like square or rectangle erasers. They're so fun. I love them. Most expensive pencils I've ever bought, which they're not that much. It's like $1 a pencil or something, but I love them. They make me really happy. For watercolor sketching, I love to use an F pencil. I have found that that's my go-to, is an F pencil. I'm able to erase after I paint really easily when I use those. So I'll add links to all of these down below just in case you want to try anything out. For a sharpener, to be honest, I think I got this from Appointed, which is actually the brand that I use for my like day planner. But I absolutely love, this has nothing to do with art necessarily, but I love the day planners from Appointed. They're so beautiful. They are so essential to me. I use my planner so much. But anyways, I got this little pencil sharpener from them, and it's nice because it has the two sizes, so you can get that really nice kind of sharp point with that one. So yeah, pencil drawing, so much fun. I've really loved that. Something else that I've had a lot of fun with this year was doing like I guess it's just called rubber stamp carving. So a couple of my favorites that I made this year, I did this Mexican hat stamp there, the sunflower, this one here, which I guess is like it's a poppy. And I did I did just a few different types of, I actually have a few more in my drawer that I didn't grab out. but I have like some different kinds of leaves I did. They're so much fun. And let me show you one. Let's see. So they're really fun for using for like packaging. I like to use them for like my shipping. Like I like to put a little stamp on the shipping label. So let's see here. So that's the green. And these are archival inks from Ranger, and they're amazing. I love using these. So let's see here. Nice. Okay. So this paper is actually kind of textured, so it's sort of hard to see. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult with this watercolor paper. Let me just grab like a drawing sheet here. So let's see. I'll put this behind it because my table is way too bumpy for this. Okay, so let's do the poppy. So I'll do this with red. So you got to make sure to really evenly distribute your weight. Really get it into those little nooks and crevices. Okay. Okay. Awesome. These are so much fun to make. Seriously, I just love it. Such a fun hobby. I definitely want to make more time for making rubber stamps. My friend Janine, who lives up in Santa Fe, she really got me into like rubber stamp carving. Her collection is just, oh my gosh, it's amazing. I drool when I see her collection, and they're all handmade. So it's so much more like special. I love like these little, I don't know, like this one has like just this like crease in it, and so it's just kind of wonky every single time I stamp it, but I sort of love that. It gives it some character. So I use this from Speedball. This is like a carving tool, and in the back side here it has all these different like smaller and larger sizes for carving. So that's very helpful, especially when you're doing like those little details, you know, in those little tiny like veins in your flowers. So much fun. And you can use Moo Carve, like rubber from Moo Carve, or I think this is just like from Speedball, and it's great. Super fun. So let's talk about watercolors. So, okay, I love this palette. It's funny because like some people were saying like in the comments when I shared this palette, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so big. And I'm just like, this is so small. Let me show you my other one. So this is my old palette. It's like at least like a third of the size as big as this one. And my friend Sarah from Sylvan Clayworks, she makes these, and I love this one. I can't remember, man, what is this one called? I think it's called the Landscape palette, and it's just a perfect size for me. It's probably about like maybe like 18 inches by like 6 inches, and has a really great amount of mixing space. It doesn't have any dividers, which I kind of like because I get kind of messy with things as I go. I like to like have a lot of things mixing together, and you just have a lot more like happy accidents when everything just can bleed into one another. So I love it. Okay, so I'm going to show you just a few of my favorite paint colors from this year. This is like not an extensive list, and actually I'll include all the colors here, and these colors here Like I have spent many years trying to curate my palette, and so far this is my favorite mix of colors yet. So I'll definitely include all of these down below, but I'm just going to show you some of my like MVP colors, the colors I was kind of surprised by this year, the colors I use a lot. So one of them is Naples Yellow, which is right here on my palette. So Naples Yellow it's an opaque watercolor, which I typically prefer. I typically prefer transparent watercolors because they are, sorry, because you can like layer colors a little more easily with them. When it's an opaque color, once you lay that color, it kind of will cover what's underneath it. So it's just a thicker, more chalky coverage. So it's kind of almost like a gouache. Okay, so let me grab some water and I'm just going to show you that Naples Yellow color. Maybe I'll just color on this. This will be fun. So I just sketched this the other day. I never finished it, but I actually didn't really think I was liking it very much. But now that I see it, I'm like, oh, it's kind of cute. Okay, so I'll just add that color here to this painting, or to this drawing. So what you can, maybe you can see, maybe you can't see, but this color, because it's kind of a thick opaque watercolor, it is really covering those pen lines pretty well. So it's not like, I don't know, it just has like better coverage than most watercolors. I think it's a beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous color. I love it. So Naples Yellow, that's been like high on my list this year. And I'll just go ahead and zoom it in. Okay, let's see here. Another color I've been loving, Payne's Gray. I love Payne's Gray. It's the color I use for all of my, well, not all, but a lot of my watercolor background paintings. So paintings with a watercolor background. This is a very light wash of Payne's Gray here in the background. Right here, both of these, that's Payne's Gray. So it's this beautiful kind of, just like a midnight blue. It is very similar to the paint color called Indigo, but it's just beautiful. I love it. It adds some great drama. Love Payne's Gray. Another one is Cobalt Turquoise, which I believe is also somewhat opaque. So let me just show you an example of this color. I'm trying to think what I want to paint this color. How about these little, I don't know what these are here, like little like lupin, whatever you say. But this one is actually one of my favorite colors for mixing. So I love to mix this turquoise color with yellows, and I get amazing greens. It's just been a really fun color to mix with. Besides that, let's see here, I have a couple of different greens. So I have olive green, and I have Hooker's green, and I've used olive green for many years. I think olive green is a mixed color, so it's like a mixture of two different paint colors to get to it. I'm not sure which ones they are, but so it's like a kind of a desaturated green, and I'll show you an example. Let's go here. It's just really beautiful. It definitely has that kind of olive, almost like a, yeah, desaturated kind of forest green. I'm really into that color. Okay, so let me show you Hooker's green. And Hooker's green is really popular. To be honest, I think I've just like had an aversion to it because it's not the funnest word to just say all the time. But Hooker's green, when you mix Hooker's green with yellow, I'll just go ahead and mix it with this Naples. I think it's just one of the most beautiful greens. It's beautiful on its own, but I love to mix it. So I'll do it up here on this tulip. So gorgeous. It's just like a nice kind of like bluish green. So beautiful. Okay, besides that, I think I just have one other one I was going to show you, and that is Ultramarine. green shade. So that's just a blue color. I use it constantly. And this one's great for mixing, or it's great just like on its own. To be honest, I don't want to paint anything this color though. So I'm just gonna do what I did with the green, and I'm just gonna add some Indian yellow to this ultramarine, and let's paint this right here. Beautiful. I really like to have mixed greens. I think just like green straight out of the tube is really uninteresting to me. So this right here is sap green. I very rarely will just use like sap green leaves unless I'm teaching like a really, like if I'm teaching like kind of like a beginner's course. Generally I really like to mix like blues and yellows, or even greens and yellows, greens and browns. There's just a lot of fun mixing you can do to get to different colors, and I just enjoy it. It's fun. Mixing is a blast. Oh, and I was going to show you something else that is so fun. Okay, so when I was a kid, my grandma, she was an oil painter, and I just remember being in her art studio, and she had all these funny things. And I remember this here, I thought it was for crunching paper, and so we would just like put paper in there and just roll it. But literally it wasn't till like a couple of years ago that I learned that this contraption is for squeezing the paint out of your like tube paints. So it helps to like push all that paint at the bottom upwards. Is that satisfying or what? I just love it, and now it looks like a little crinkle cut fry. It's the best. So a lot of my paint colors have like that at the bottom now. So let's see, what else can I show you? I'll just show you some of like the paint brushes I've been loving. So I definitely have a bit of a problem when it comes to paint brushes, and this is like a fourth of what no, it's less than a fourth. I have so many paint brushes. A lot of them are really like kind of ruined and splayed out. It's hard to get rid of them. But here's some of the ones I just love. So the one I was just using, this is a Series 7 Winsor & Newton sable brush. And I don't know what size it is. I can't tell anymore. I've just like rubbed off the marking from it. I think it's size 8. It holds a ton of water, and I love it. And it's designed so well, like those brushes. So each of those little like hairs are designed so that it always stays in a really nice point, because all of the sable hairs have a little bit of a bend in them like that. This has been probably my favorite new discovery this year. And actually I only discovered it like a couple months ago. This is, let's see here, Series 150 from Winsor & Newton. And it's a size 4. I also have a 12 and an 8, but I use the smaller one because I mostly paint small. But this brush is actually made with goat hair, which I don't know. I was like thinking it would kind of feel like a hog's hair brush, like an oil painting brush, but I have really enjoyed using it for watercolor. Like I think it helps me to stay really loose with my paintings. The bristles don't necessarily stay in like an amazingly fine point, but pretty well, surprisingly. So it kind of works like a mop brush, or like a mop brush. Okay, so I'll just paint, let me do something more pinky red colored. I'm just gonna grab whatever I have right here. I have no idea what this mix is, but I'll put it right here on this tulip. I'm telling you, this brush feels good. That's a feel-good brush. I love it. It holds a ton of water. It helps me to paint really loosely and kind of freely. It looks really cool. I love that it's like made of bamboo. It's just like, this is such a cool brush. I absolutely love it. I think it's really great for doing calligraphy, which I don't really do much of. I used to, but I don't really have that much interest in doing like calligraphy or lettering I don't know why. Just not really my cup of tea. So, okay, love that brush. Another brush I really enjoyed using this year is the Princeton Neptune quill. This is the size 6. And I used this brush a lot when I did like a 31-day painting challenge this year in October. So I called it October Flowers. And I just painted a different flower every day, but I use this a lot. And like the point on this brush is actually like kind of incredible. It is like such a fine point, but then you can do these like massive, like moppy, like thick lines of paint. Like I'll show you. I'm just gonna draw over here. And hold on, let me go turn off my heater real quick. Okay, so let me show you how this works. I will do, let's do some burnt sienna. So man, this brush holds so much water that it definitely can become like a soppy mess so fast. your colors might have so much water in them. Because yeah, this thing holds like a tablespoon of water. It's incredible. But I'm going to show you just like how fine of like, I have a hard time just using this page. This is my Dustling and Heart watercolor sketchbook, and it's just so pretty. Okay, so let me just paint, how about I'll paint this leaf? Why don't I just paint an orange leaf? That's not weird. So I can do like so much, like I can cover so much ground so quickly. You know what? Whatever, I'm just gonna show you here. Okay, just look at this like wash. It's incredible. Like I can just cover so much space so quickly. So it's just like a great like mop brush. Kind of like something like this. Like you could use it interchangeably with like a mop brush. But then I can also just do like really fine, like wispy details. And it's just amazing. So. And the less water you have in the brush, like the easier it is to do those small details. If you have too much water in there, it definitely makes it a little harder. But trust me, you can do like the most intricate detail with this brush, and I just love it. So satisfying. Also, here is my gorgeous, my other Dustling and Heart watercolor sketchbook. And so this one here that I was just drawing in, this one is a mixed media paper, so it's smooth and it's good for watercolor, but it's also good for drawing in, and I could probably do really great stamps in that one actually. But this one is actually textured, and let's see if you can tell. Can you see that texture to this paper? So this is Arch's watercolor paper. I can't remember what weight it is, but I love to use this one. I really try to use a lot of intentionality when I use this sketchbook, so I don't really, like, I won't just do experiments in here. Like sometimes I will, but I like to just kind of have an idea of where the painting is going. And I think it's so important to have sketchbooks where you just fill it up with ideas and you're not precious about the end result, and you just do it just for the process and do it for the enjoyment of it. But in here, I like to try and keep it kind of pretty if I can. But I was just going to show you a couple of favorites. So this one right here, I think I called it Soft Summer Florals in my shop. But this painting has just been one of my favorite in a really long time. I don't really know exactly what it is. It was a loose painting. I think I did create a sketch first, but it still just ended up feeling like there was these like wonderful little like water moments of bleed. I love this leaf where there's yellow and green and blue all mixed together. It was just fun. Oh, and the center in here, I loved the bleed of like I think I did like burnt umber into this gray color. And it just, I don't know, there were some happy little accidents in that one, and I ended up really loving it. And I feel like I paint 10 paintings in this style before I like really love one, maybe even more. There's a lot of paintings I don't necessarily show, and I think that that's really important to know that. I think it's really important to know that everybody's got a lot of paintings that, you know, you gotta do a lot of bad paintings to create some good paintings. Like this is in my mind a pretty bad painting, but I really enjoyed making it, so I guess it's not bad, I don't know. This one I did not like, so I just stopped. Okay, this is actually really fun. So, like a week ago, or December 6th, so like a week ago, I thought it'd be a fun challenge to just try painting with my left hand, which is my non-dominant hand. So I had to put my palette over there on my left side, and so I just used this Series 150 brush, and it was so hard. Like my hand was like, I don't know if it was like necessarily shaking, but oh my gosh, I'm so slow with it. And the hardest part was actually like grabbing the paints, because I'm so used to just like just quickly grabbing paint. But that process of just like, give me paint, that was really difficult. Painting in and of itself wasn't terribly, like it was definitely challenging, but obviously this is a very loose painting, and I was really embracing that loose look, so it kind of worked. I did a different one that was loose like a couple days ago. Oh yeah, this one right here. And I didn't like that one as much. I just don't think it's as interesting as this one. So yeah, definitely a fun experiment. I highly recommend it. I don't know, it's a good experiment on painting looser styles. I think something that I've mentioned probably a good amount over the last year and a half. So my son is, I think he's actually exactly a year and a half. I can't remember what today's date is. But yeah, my son is a year and a half. And I think there's just something about becoming a mother that makes me not want to be as controlling with my art process. Like I just really crave like a looser, more flowy, I don't know, painting style, or sketches that are just kind of more movement and just feel natural, and maybe there's like little crinkles in the paper, or maybe there's like little pencil dashes that are where they shouldn't belong or something like that. I don't know. I think that I just feel like, I don't know how I want to articulate it, but maybe I just realized that it's just sometimes good to just loosen up a little and kind of let things happen as they will. And I've really seen that happen in my art, and I really enjoy it. I know a lot of people follow me for more detailed kind of paintings, but I definitely feel like that kind of shift, maybe not like quite this loose, but I don't know, I definitely enjoy a looser style these days. Even this, which has a lot of detail in it, it's definitely painted in a very loose, a loose application, and I really enjoy that. So anyways, hope you enjoyed that little sketchbook tour. Another thing I've really enjoyed this year was painting landscapes, which, who knew? Like, I've never painted landscapes. But I think this was the first one I did. I don't know, back like middle of the year sometime. Like I've never, no, maybe a little bit here and there, but I've just never really had much of an interest in painting landscapes for whatever reason. But this one, I did it and I was like, hey, that's actually, I kind of like that. So I ended up liking that one. Here's another one that's really similar in a little frame. This was one that I did after a camping trip. My husband and we were sharing a tent with our son, who at the time was just like a little under a year old, I think. And he like wouldn't sleep in the tent. It was like the worst night of sleep maybe ever. It was horrible. But so around like 5 a.m. we're like, hey, let's just go for a drive and let's just get him to fall asleep in the car. So we took the truck up the mountain. We were up in the Jemez here in New Mexico, and then we drove up to this area called Valle Calderas. And just saw like some of the most beautiful views I've ever seen in my life. There was like all of these, I think they were elk or bison just coming out of the mist at like 5:30, 6 in the morning. It was absolutely gorgeous. And it was one of those things that if it weren't for that horrible night's sleep, I would have never even known. And I still think about it all the time. I just like really want to go back and see that again because it was like a life-changing view, to be honest. So here's a little painting of it. Something else I really enjoyed doing this year was painting churches. Sorry, one second. Okay, so it kind of started with this, and this painting here, I really, really, really like this painting, but this was actually a study. So I don't feel like this is actually an original of mine. This was a study I did of a painting at my aunt's house. That it's an oil painting she has of a church, and I didn't replicate it exactly, but I definitely used another painting as my reference. So this would never go in my shop. I would never try and sell this or anything like that, but it definitely like sparked something in me because I painted it and I was like, hey, like I understand how that works. Like I think I could paint churches. So I tried my hand at a few more churches. I think I did like, I don't know how many, maybe like 6 or 7. Here's a couple of them. And I didn't have like a reference for these. I just kind of came up with, I just came up with a sketch and drew them. And they were really fun. They are also, there's something about drawing like shapes that need to be like structurally, architecturally correct that I actually maybe don't enjoy as much as botanicals, because botanicals, like there's just so much movement, there's so much grace and freedom and movement, and I think I prefer that style. But this was really fun, and I'm curious to see if I'll have another phase of wanting to paint churches again. But it was a really fun moment, so I thought I would show you. So I'm going to show you just a couple more paintings that were some of my favorites from this year. Okay, so this was one I did in my 31-day art challenge, and it was, these are called trumpet vine flowers, and these grow everywhere here. They're so beautiful, and I just really liked how this one felt. I liked that it wasn't like, it almost feels like I wasn't even sure like what orientation feels best. Like that could kind of work. I love it. So that was a really fun one, and this is the original, and I have a ton of originals available in my shop, and it's not a good year for originals. I'm just going to tell you guys that. This economy is making it a little difficult, but hey, I'm really grateful for print orders. So this was another, actually this was an original that sold, but this was one of my favorite paintings of the year. So this was just a two iris watercolor painting I did, and this here is a print of it, and yeah, it was just one of my favorites. It was very loose. I actually taught a class on this painting in my Patreon, and it was just kind of like a quick impromptu little lesson, and the lesson was about how I use reference photos to create my own compositions. So in that video I walk you through, and I'll link it there, but in the video I talked about how I would take photos of iris from the internet if I didn't have any photos, or if they weren't in the season, which they very rarely are. How I would take photos from the internet and make my own composition that is really unique to me, authentic. I'm not copying another artist. I'm not even copying a photo necessarily. So watch that video. I hope that is helpful and encouraging. I got a lot of good feedback on it. So anyways, 2 irises. This one here, I don't remember what I called it. Maybe Cosmos and Queen Anne's Lace. But this is a print. The original is sold. I think I did this one in the early spring, and it was, this actually was another part of a Patreon video. In that class I talked all about, oh gosh, what was it? In that video, it was part of my summer series all about composing floral artwork. And in this video, I think I was talking about like crops and composition. So great class. I worked really hard on those. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, I'll just show you one more because my battery is dying here. This was a part of a 3-part series of watercolors I did. They all had similar palettes, similar types of flowers. This one was my favorite, so I can't remember what I named it, but you can find it below in the description. So I think that that's probably a good amount. It's been fun, maybe a little self-indulgent. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you feel inspired to just get creative using whatever you have, and I hope you have a wonderful end to this year, and I will see you soon.